Have you ever imagined yourself as someone who is immune to criticism, rejection, loss, or betrayal? Have you ever thought that one day the silent pain that gnaws inside you, when on the outside everything seems to be fine, will one day be completely gone? Maybe you are tired of trying to please everyone, tired of trying to appear strong. Maybe you just wanted to get away from the pressure of being untouchable, if only for a moment. But let me tell you something that perhaps no one else has ever told you. As long as you run away from pain, it will continue to rule you. The more you try to protect yourself, to hide it, to not feel it, the more you will be doomed to words that hurt you, behaviors that disappoint you, silences that consume you from the inside. This is not a weakness. This is the reality that most people experience. The only difference is that some hide this pain better. As Carl Jung, one of the pioneers of psychology, said, "We are not what happens to us, we are what we choose to be." And therein lies the key. It's not about isolating yourself from the world. It's not about being cold or indifferent. The real power is not in the absence of pain, but in not forgetting who you are in that pain. If you have come this far, it is no coincidence. This content is for you who has always felt inadequate, who has always been worn down by the behavior of others, who wants to find your inner balance. But this is not an easy path, because first you will have to face some painful truths. Yes, it will hurt, but maybe for the first time, this pain will set you free. Let's get started. Many times you believe that what hurts you comes from outside. Someone's words, someone's abandonment, a betrayal. But here's the truth. If you didn't already have a wound inside you, it wouldn't have shaken you so much. In fact, it is not what others have done to you that destroys you. It's the emotions that these events set in motion in your inner world, the story you tell yourself, an unresolved trauma, the emptiness you suppress in order to appear strong. Jung says that the pain we feel in the outside world comes from parts of ourselves that are not yet integrated. That's why some people are able to maintain their balance even when they've been through very heavy things, while others fall apart at the slightest word. Here we are faced with a painful truth. If you are still suffering so much, deep down you still believe that you can control how the world treats you. You are still trying to be good enough, smart enough, strong enough, understanding enough, so that no one hurts you. But this is an illusion. The more you try to control, the more tired you get. You try to predict the unpredictable to avoid the inevitable. The result? Constant tension and endless exhaustion. You want to get rid of the pain, then stop protecting yourself. What you need is more awareness, not more control. If you think you can't be comfortable until people change, your bondage will continue. Freedom begins when you realize that what comes from the outside can only affect you when it touches the emptiness inside you. And this is the real battlefield, the unconscious, the part of you that you cannot see, that you do not understand, but that rules you. Do you think you are in control of your life? Maybe that was the biggest lie you have ever been told, but now you need to wake up. The truth is, you are not in control, especially when you're still living on autopilot. If you act without knowing why you react the way you do, if you get lost in emotions you don't understand where they come from, and then sabotage your own decisions, that's not fate. As Jung said, unless you make your unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. The anger that constantly erupts inside you, the sadness that comes over you for no reason, the dark emotions that overtake you in an instant. None of these are coincidences. These are the voices of parts of you that you have repressed, forgotten, or ignored for years. What Jung called the unconscious is not just a cloud of fog. It is an active force made up of traumas, desires, repressed emotions, and fears. Unless you confront it, it will continue to rule you. So why is it that some words shatter you and others don't affect you at all? Because those words touch open wounds inside you. And if those wounds are still alive, it is because you have never faced them. You have only ignored them, swept them under a rug. But now, with every step, you trip over that bump. Jung's quote is very clear here. We cannot change anything until we accept it. Condemnation does not bring freedom, it only represses. And what have you done so far? You have blamed yourself, silenced yourself, suppressed yourself, as if ignoring it would solve the problems by itself. But the unconscious does not disappear when ignored. On the contrary, it begins to manifest itself in more dangerous ways. In toxic relationships that keep recurring, in cycles you can't break, in anxieties that gnaw at you when everything seems to be fine. These are not bad luck. These are signs that parts of you are trying to wake you up. But you still insist on sleeping. Do you really not want to be hurt anymore? Then stop running away, because as long as you don't face your inner self, you will be a puppet of your emotions. The more you try to protect yourself from external pain, the more vulnerable you are to internal pain. But there is a way out, and it lies not in building walls, but in integrating yourself. Because being untouchable is a state of awareness, not a defense. So what does it really mean to be untouchable? Most people think that the only way to protect themselves from pain is to shut down. They build thick walls, suppress their emotions, and put a mask over their face. I don't care anymore, they say. Nothing affects me. But inside it still bleeds. Because it's not about feeling, it's about not recognizing what you feel. Jung is very clear about this. Know all the theories, master every technique. But when you meet a spirit, just be a human spirit. Behind that powerful, controlled, unaffected mask of yours is a spirit that just wants to be seen. This spirit cries out, "Please notice me." But the more you suppress it, the more painfully it tries to be heard. True emotional strength is not numbing. It is not ignoring pain, running away from problems, or being indifferent. Real strength comes from accepting everything that you have suppressed inside you, bringing to light the parts of yourself that you have left in the dark. You don't become untouchable by building a wall between yourself and the world. Only when you embrace what is inside you, no one can touch that point anymore. No one can hit you where you are not. When you make peace with your shadows, your fears, your flaws, you no longer react, you only observe. Now the choice is yours. That's why you stop being the plaything of an emotion and become truly liberated. Jung calls this process individuation. This is the very process that makes you who you are. Not who others expect you to be, not a self that you have molded for society to accept, but the real you that comes from within. And remember, this process is not about trying to be perfect. It's about learning to be whole. You don't have to be a better person. You just need to recognize and accept yourself in all your parts. Here's the secret that nobody tells you. The more you run away from pain, the more it chases you. The more you try not to be affected, the more fragile you become. But when you face your own wounds, when you accept your beautiful and ugly sides, nothing from the outside can destroy you anymore. Yes, this path requires courage. The courage to look inside, the courage to take off your masks, and most importantly, the courage to feel. Because the key to transformation is hidden right there, in the pain. Since you were little, you were taught that pain is a bad thing, that suffering is weakness, crying is a waste of time, feeling too much is vulnerability. So you learned to run away, to suppress, to deny. But you forgot. Repressed pain does not disappear. It only changes form. It comes back as anxiety, as anger, as a meaningless emptiness, or a desire to hurt yourself. It starts digging deep tunnels inside you, and one day, without warning, everything collapses. Jung offers a different perspective at this point. For him, pain is the cry of the soul. It is the alarm of the unconscious. It is the cry of the whole being to notice me. And he says, depression is like a woman in black. When she comes, don't kick her out. Make a place for her to sit, offer her coffee, and listen to what she has to say. But what did you do? You got quiet. You distracted yourself, but the pain was trying to show you something, because one part of you wanted to grow, while the other wanted things to stay the same. And this conflict gave birth to the pain that burns you from the inside. Because change hurts. It is not easy to let go of old beliefs, to give up the identities you are used to. But it is not the end. It is the beginning of a rebirth. And it is at that moment, when everything falls apart, when the masks fall off, that you really see who you are. Without layers, you remain just you. That's why pain is sacred. Because it brings you to your knees and reminds you that only through yourself can you be liberated. True transformation begins with knowing yourself. This journey is not easy. Most people return to the surface. But if you have come this far, you are ready to cross. And now you must know, it is not hardness that protects you, but awareness. Consciousness is your real armor, because someone who knows himself is not shaken by any blows from the outside. He still feels, but he is not suffocated. It still hurts, but it doesn't lose itself. And that changes everything. You don't have to try to look strong anymore. The real power lies not in appearing, but in being. If this journey has touched you and somewhere inside you said, yes, this is me, just write one sentence in the comments. I choose awareness. Because it's time to really live, not just survive. And remember, this is not just the end. The real story starts now.